Hey people, it's me, Griselda, Priestess Lumen Sophia, coming at you from the Cunt Cave. How's it going on this Leo new moon? A time to check our integrity. I know I'm going through it. I'm revisiting some places in myself where I feel like I haven't been honest about some things that um, have been really bothering me. I haven't expressed a lot of things because I've been not wanting to deal with any sort of potential backlash because I'm just tired. You know what I mean? Like, how much of yourself can you possibly give out every day, all the time, to all the demands and the different ego needs and affirmations that all people need, including you, right? Including ourselves, for ourselves. It's impossible and it's unreasonable to think that any one human being is born into the world just to be present, you know, for me, for you, for anyone out there. Everybody's looking for their Jesus, and people think about and talk about truth a lot, and this is when a lot of truth is being uncovered and rediscovered, sought after. But truth inside of what framework, inside of what context? A lot of what we are unlearning, a lot of people are unlearning or relearning or being introduced to this, but it seems like for the first time, is the truth of culture is not original truth. You know, our culture that we live in is a constructed culture, and it's a consequence of a seed. It's a kind of a sprouting of a field of different things from a seed planted so long ago. And so it's important to ask, what was that seed? Where was that seed? You know, this is what we're living in now is the consequence of that. And this is the harvest, right? So if we look at the harvest, what do we see? you know, what are the values in this harvest? Are we still observing reality, or are we observing our reality inside of a spectrum of good and evil? Because if we are looking at reality that way, our reality that way, then we are still approaching, looking at reality via the lens of shame and false morality that was seeded by the institution of the church and also perpetuated in the world by the state. And so, when we're asking for truth, what are we asking for? Do we know what that means? Are we able to really handle truth? Are we willing to get out of our own way, get our egos out of our own way, these unconscious desires out of our own way, unconscious expectations that we have of ourselves and of others and of the world? Are we able to clear that out of our way so that truth has a chance to emerge? Or are we going to hang on to these desires, right? Relentlessly, so desperately, that when the truth shows up, we gaslight it. We gaslight it in ourselves, we gaslight it in the world. We continue to scapegoat it and also demean it, demonize it, and so on. So today, like with this polarity we have that are represented in our politics, it's pretty extreme. We can make fun of the religious right all we want, but the left doesn't want to see its own religion and its own value system being forced upon people between this good and evil as well. And this desire to continue to create another new other, because the human being, this postmodern human being, and it's been going on for a long time, is unaware of its own just need to affirm itself as good, as better than, morally, virtuously, better than, superior than, in this sort of like moral way. You know what I mean? This continues to get in the way of our growth. And this is the truth that is trying to emerge, but it's not convenient to the ego. It's not convenient to people and to systems and to ideologies that put all those eggs in that one basket of, you know, I want to be better than, or I am more moral than, I am holier than, I am more sacred than. In order for that to continue to be something, we have to always find the other, find a scapegoat constantly, constantly, and it just never ends. So this is what I mean about looking for the religion that hides in plain sight. Because even though people say that they're not religious, they have religious ideology that they can let go of. Instead of examining why within the self, we want to default all the time into creating new others. Instead of examining why, we continue to just create the new other. And it perpetuates itself, and everyone will hold steadfast onto the reasoning why that this is how they are. And instead of being interested in righteousness itself, people are holding on to desperately their own self-righteousness. It's rooted in a deep narcissism. It's rooted in a deep need to be special or more special than, etc., etc. You can see this playing out, right? You can see this playing out in the left and the right, and the right and the left, and it's really awful. And for those of us who are really doing the work to observe culture from outside of culture, understanding that the frame, everything that's in this frame is sick. So there can be no true righteousness, there can be no true integrity out of anything born of this culture, because the culture is sick. So we have to learn to observe culture from outside of culture, which means that we have to be able to, not lead with our egos. Become aware of how much of ourselves is relying on continuing to be better than or more special. I see it all over social media. I've been seeing all over social media, whether it's the left politics or the right politics. It's all narcissism. Some of it is on the right is more overt, and some of it on the left is covert. Either way, it's all a personality disorder on a spectrum. So I just want to put this out there. Today's Leo's new moon, because it's about integrity. The lion heart. Where is your integrity? Is it rooted in a philosophy that still relies on false morality? Or is it searching for original truth before colonization, before religion, before this idea of evil and good? Is it looking for the balance versus the imbalance and not the evil or the good? Are we going towards that space? Or are we just looking to pass the baton of dysfunction, to the next new hegemonic power, which is still passing along the same the same personality disorder, the same false self, right? So humanity finds itself still in the false self, but because the optics look different, we call it progress. But it's the same dysfunction and it's the same sickness. So I just wanted to put that out there, because people say that they're looking for truth, but are we looking for truth? Or are we looking to be affirmed in our biases? This is an awareness that we should cultivate about our own selves, and also examine, be able to investigate that out in the world and what's really going on in this space, right? Being able to learn to investigate and come to your own conclusions about it, not because sources from outside of you are telling you this, that you've decided to trust, right? We decide to trust this source, and as a result, because we've decided to trust it, if indeed we find out that this source has been not rooted in integrity, we feel slighted because, oh, how did I not see that coming? All of a sudden our egos take a hit. This leading with our egos thing is really boring, and it's really creating and perpetuating more and more mediocrity, instead of helping us as human beings reach towards something that is transcending our egos, not smashing it or getting rid of it. We need our egos, but to learn how to use the ego to help navigate but not the ego use us. We have to learn how to ride the dragon, how to rescue Jesus and ride the dragon, and not the dragon ride us, and not continue to be cucks to Jesus, or cucks to anything else that is an authority outside of us. How can we continue to examine and ask questions? What do we need to do to get out of our own way to do that, right? Do I want to be part of the mob mentality, or am I a sovereign amongst the mob? All right, guys, thanks for listening. And I really do hope that all of you are okay and you're healthy and doing the hard work. It takes courage, right? But don't forget joy. You got to throw joy in there too.